Hey, what is going on? Good afternoon in Eastern Time. Good morning still in Central, Mountain, and Western Time, or wherever you are around the world. I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kagas. We try to get together every Saturday afternoon at about this time to talk about the weather. And there is a lot to talk about, especially if you are a fan or not a fan of snow, winter weather, big time Arctic cold. We have all of the above heading into Christmas week. Of course, the first night of Hanukkah is tomorrow, so you have travel plans over this week. You are going to want to pay attention because things could get ugly, especially as we get a little bit closer to Christmas with the development of a pretty big snowstorm and a lot of Arctic cold. This, what we're looking at now, has nothing to do with what is coming. This is kind of that last gasp of that coast-to-coast system that we've been tracking really for most of the week that started last week at about this time, kind of lashing the California coastline, lashing the Sierra Nevadas and Cascades, and now finally pushing out in the Northeast. So finally, 1 week later, after a couple of tornado outbreaks, after a big-time blizzard in the plains, we are going to say goodbye to this awful, awful system. And before we get into some of the meteorology, just want to say we are thinking about everybody in the Deep South, particularly that have been impacted by the tornadoes that was started in Texas and Oklahoma on Monday and then just moved across the Deep South. So we are thinking about you guys, and we hope that recovery goes well and that everybody is safe. We have another extremely impactful storm. I don't think we're going to get the scope of the severe weather that we got with the last one with this one, but I do think a lot of people are going to get the heavy snow. If you are just joining the live stream, if you are finding this channel for the first time, we talk and track all things weather. Please hit that thumbs up button. Please post in the comments where you are watching from on this Saturday afternoon or morning, depending upon where you are. And let me know if you are excited about the potential for a white Christmas. We're going to get all into that. And again, we are going to break down that system right now, just watching that last gasp, if you will, of that big, big storm system that was out to the west. So what I'm going to do now, we are going to start to talk about this major blast of cold that is going to come kind of screaming in from the Arctic, and it is going to be really, really wild. We were talking in the last video. Oh, yeah, that's bitter for a lot of people. It's crazy. Hope you're doing well, Ethan. Yeah, it's going to be cold. I mean, pretty much unescapable unless you're west of the Rockies. I think that's the only area that we're talking about the potential really to miss out on this, as we'll warm things up west of the Rockies, and then that blast of Arctic cold comes on down as we look at this lovely black screen that I have up. But that's exactly where we will start. We're going to start with the Arctic cold. We'll get into why this is happening. It's that polar vortex thing. It's the buzzword. It's used a lot, and a lot of times meteorologically incorrectly. We can get into that. But it has its hand in this blast of cold air that is going to be coming down the pipeline. So we are starting off. This is going to be on Monday morning, and it's cold up in the northern plains. But it's really once we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. I mean, we are talking where you're seeing those pink colors here. I mean, that is 25 to 35 degrees below zero in North Dakota, eastern Montana, eastern Wyoming. And then just watch this blast. And since I have my friend Ethan from Florida, we'll zoom in on Florida. But the core of that cold air settles in, as you mentioned, on Christmas Eve, and it's going to be Christmas Eve morning. So the crazy thing about this is you're going to wake up on Friday morning. It's probably going to be relatively mild. We're going to have some rain coming through Friday morning. So those were the real temperatures. So good call there. I forgot to mention that those are just the actual air temperatures. The wind is not involved in that at all. So again, brutal. We can take a look at the wind chill in just 1 second. I'll show you again. And we're just kind of waiting to see here how this all lines up. If skies clear out enough for the Florida Peninsula, we're talking about temperatures going to be able to get into the 20s. And you see that here. This is the European solution, which is oftentimes a little too cold in its rendition. But you see it there right in Orlando. 28. I know you're in Titusville. I believe you're in Titusville. But hanging around 30 degrees. I mean, it is hard to get temperatures this cold this far down the Florida peninsula. This is iguana falling out of trees weather for South Florida. I think Miami has a shot to get into the 30s as well. I mean, this is crazy, crazy cold. Right now, as we speak, this is charging up in Siberia. So, I mean, that's where this source air mass is. As I just kind of click through all of this. Again, if you're just joining us, welcome to the live stream. Please post in the comments where you are watching from as we take a look at what the wind chills could be up there. Just nuts. So again, welcome to everybody just joining. If you're new here, I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kegas, and we talk and track all things weather. Post in the comments where you're watching from, and we can kind of dial in. We're going to get into where you are. We are going to dial in on that storm system in a second. We're going to get real deep down. If you are hoping for a white Christmas along the I-95 corridor, I think you are out of luck. We talked about this in the white Christmas update that there was a chance. That was, first few days of December when that came out, and it was unclear if it was going to be the I-95 corridor, if that was going to be too far away. The pattern didn't really look right for I-95. And that really looks like it's going to be the case now. So if you want to talk about that snowstorm, just let me know. Post that in the comments. Post where you're watching from. And if you are enjoying our time together, our conversation that we are having, please give this a thumbs up. It'll help YouTube find some new people to join our live chat. So just taking a look at some of these, it's brutal. So this is going to be, all right, so you see that big, it might be a little too hard to see that far out. I'm going to zoom into that. Hey, Rodney, what's going on, Washington, D.C.? I know, and it seems like that happens all too much with you guys in D.C. It's terrible, but we are going to miss out again. Hey, what's going on in upper Minnesota? I used to live in southern Minnesota, but now I'm in Florida and bracing for the cold of the 30s, and it's going to be like 30 below up in upper Minnesota in the next couple of days. Hey, Paul in North Georgia, welcome to the live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. Rodney asked, do you think it will change back to snow for D.C.? We'll take a look at why, but the short answer is why it won't, but the short answer is I don't think it will, unfortunately. If you're just joining us, since I'm on this map for our friend in northern Minnesota, look at that. I almost had my Minnesota accent come back out with the long O, just talking to somebody from Minnesota. But there you go. There's Friday morning, and the wind chill up in northern Minnesota is like 40 to 50 below. Actual air temperatures are 20 to 30 below. One of my best friends lives in Duluth. I have a lot of friends that live in northern Minnesota. Great state, one of my favorites, that along with South Dakota. If you were with us on one of the live streams before, I got in a whole ramble about how cool South Dakota is if you haven't been there. Maybe not the best time to visit there right now, where, again, wind chills are going to be like 50 to 60 below. You see where that core of the purple is? Let me bust out my telestrator here. That's 50 degrees below zero right in here where that's purple. That's with the wind. So just crazy, crazy cold. Hey, what's going on, Paul in Arkansas? Florida, it is a wet cold. It thins out your blood, man. I'm telling you. It was chilly this morning. I'm from Pittsburgh, heading back there for Christmas, and it's going to be like single digits, so probably going to freeze to death. As it's crazy. It does change. It's been so warm down in Florida for those that haven't been paying attention. All right, so we're going to get into the snowstorm since we have a few people asking about that. Basically, I'm going to start off with the model here. I want to show you the European solution first. Okay, so basically here, we're going to fast forward quickly out to Friday morning. This is going to be Festivus for those who want to air some grievances. I really think we miss out in D.C. along the 95 corridor as well. What's going on in Hershey? Okay, so I think we have a shot, but I don't think we get the jackpot totals in Hershey. You see here, the cold air is just going to rush in super, super fast on Friday afternoon. So this starts as rain for us in Philly on Friday, or Hershey, I should say, near Philly. It was looking towards the I-95 corridor, but the cold air is going to come rushing in so fast that we might be able to get kind of like a last gasp changeover, maybe be able to get things white. But you see, if you're watching from New York City, and this is kind of zoomed out because I want to show everybody abroad, but New York City right in there, Boston, Portland, I think we might be able to get a white Christmas in Maine because we have snow on the ground, but this thing is just going to be pumping warm air up. So I had the question about DC, and it is coming into better agreement. I know there was a ton of hype on social media about New York City and all these places along the I-95 corridor going to get crushed with snow. I hope you guys were watching some of my videos because it just did not look like that was going to be the case. The pattern's not ripe, and I'm going to show you why in a second. It's all about pattern recognition. Is there a chance that could change? Maybe, but it's so small because of the way the pattern is. So we're going to take a look at the pattern. The best thing to look at now is not the snow totals that the model is spitting out. It's the upper level pattern because you can't get the snow without dissecting the upper level pattern and finding out where the currents are. So this is the 500 millibar relative vorticity where you see the brighter reds. I show this a lot in hurricane season where you see the reds. That's where you have the stronger spin in the atmosphere. We're looking at the height line specifically, and I'll point that out in a second. But hit the thumbs up button if you see this. So this ridge of high pressure right out here by California, this is one of the reasons for my friends tuning in west of the Rockies that we are going to be warmer than normal for Christmas, where the rest of the country is literally frigid. So if you do want to escape the cold, Southern California is going to be the place to be. Las Vegas, all of the above. West of the Rockies, and then really desert Southwest. That'll be your opportunity to escape. But watch what happens here. To get a snowstorm in the Northeast, you want this ridge, and when I say Northeast, because I do think the interior Northeast is still under the gun, has the potential for some of the heaviest snow, but you want this ridge of high pressure, like right here. We call it the Boise Ridge, because it's kind of centered right over Boise, Idaho, okay? That would help to push this dip in the jet stream where we have the storm closer to the coast. Now, this is typical for a La Nina pattern, which we are in. We would typically get the inland runners like what we have now, focusing on interior New England and the Great Lakes. If you've seen my winter forecast, I drew up right in here. And again, it's not going on too much of a limb, but that the worst of winter would kind of be right in this area. And we would, have opportunities in the 95 corridor, but the repeated stuff would be out here. And that's exactly what's setting up again. Of course, we just had a lot of heavy snow in interior New England with this round. There's going to be a shot. I don't think it's going to be to the degree of what we just saw over the last week in the Deep South specifically. So good news, but we are watching for the potential for some severe weather with this coming in. But again, I don't think it's as widespread as what we saw with the last round. Now, here is why, again, long story short, just hit my attention if I just go off on a tangent, post that in the comments. Hey, shut up. Focus. Anyway, the deal with this is that the way we don't have a sharp ridge either. So something that's broad like this is going to tend to kind of pull it back inland rather than a nice sharp trough and then have the system go that way. Here is where our low is. At least this is as of last night's run of the European. And there have been big differences between the European and the GFS. In my opinion, and I'll show you again that the GFS is caving to the Euro in terms of where this is going. It had always looked like the GFS was going to be wrong because its own ensembles, where you kind of put the initial conditions into the model, had a lot of lows. Had the low track out in here, And the main GFS was way out here. So it just did not make sense. It was misreading something. It has caught back on, which increases the confidence. So again, all of those social media posts that had like New York City getting blasted with like a couple feet of snow, completely outlandish. And in my opinion, super hypey, super clickbaity, and super inappropriate because it gets people excited for a white Christmas and a lot of snow. And I know a lot of people in that area obviously love the snow. Hey, Riken, we're going to check in on that. We'll check in on you right now, actually. Cindy in Gainesville, Georgia, good morning. I don't think we're going to have a white Christmas, but it's going to be really, really cold. That's for sure. We can take a look at some of those temperatures if you like in a second. So Indiana, we have a shot. We have a shot. I'm going to show you here the surface on how this comes together. And I do think, again, this is going to start out as rain, but then quickly transition to snow. So this is on Thursday afternoon in Indiana. The green represents the rain here, okay? And again, the low is developing right out in here. That is absolutely a no-go for the Northeast. That is because on the right side of the low, you have flow out of the south, and that's pumping in whatever little warmth is left prior to this giant blast of Arctic air. Anyway, Rodney, my man, I am with you. You are a wish caster just like I am. Unfortunately, if you stick around for a second, I'm going to show you the latest GFS, and it has unfortunately caved to the euro, and it's really, really upsetting for DC. But we're going to get into that. Anyway, so here's how this kind of plays out in Indiana. This is Thursday night now, and then you see this rush of blue here. Okay, so this is the snow coming in. I think, and this is important to note if you're driving around here on Thursday night into early Friday morning, I think we'll see something we call a flash freeze, meaning the roads are going to be wet because of the rain and melting snow initially, and the temperatures are going to drop so fast that the temperatures of the surface freeze very, very quickly. So if you are really anywhere in the Northeast, just be prepared for that. For when that front comes through, it means business. And again, I'm going to show you those temperatures if you would like coming up in a second. But for Indiana specifically, there's some of that snow coming back. And then eventually it comes on through and lifts up. Again, the low, at least according to the Euro, sliding up here, that robs the 95 corridor of any shot of this snowstorm. And I don't think we're going to have a white Christmas there. I'm going to have a full update on where I think that we're going to have the best shot for a white Christmas. And one of the things was going to be across parts of the midsection. Hey, Leroy, good afternoon. I guess good morning. If you're in Texas right now, we're almost to lunchtime. Todd, is northern Minnesota going to get hit again? I do think so. Hey, we've got a lot of questions. Keep them coming. Keep posting them. First of all, if you're new here, we would love to have you on board. If you're interested in talking about the weather, hit that subscribe button. We would love to have you. If not, you can hit the thumbs up button. At least it'll get this out to more people. We always like to have the conversation about what you guys are seeing and what you guys want. Unfortunately, we can't control it, but we can dream. So here we go. The question to northern Minnesota, I don't think it's anything crazy. I don't think it's like what you saw the other day in northern Minnesota. But this little clipper system comes through. So I think we'll see just some light snow. It's all going to be about the cold from this point on in northern Minnesota. So for you there, it's more about the cold. There will be some light snow involved. Now for Kansas City, this is going to be the same kind of deal that we're going to see in Indiana. And I just want to check the latest GFS. And I mean, it shows the same thing. So if you guys are with me, I know I have a lot of new subscribers, and I can't thank you guys enough for finding this channel and hitting the subscribe button. You guys are awesome, but it's been awesome meeting everybody. That we would have a shot in Texas and in Arkansas for a white Christmas, and the GFS wants that. The European wants that. And it's going to be close. the deal with this is the cold air is just going to come screaming in. And Paul asks, is there a chance that snow could dip into Georgia? There you go. The GFS wants it. Some light blue there showing up in Georgia. Now, I will say it's probably on the lower. You may see flakes. I don't know if anything's going to stick. Here's the deal, though. The pattern stays extremely active after Christmas, and it may get into a better pattern for the southeast and eventually the northeast to get in on a little bit of snow, because we're already going to have the cold air in place thanks to this crazy polar express, as we call it. We literally have the cold air dipping over from the North Pole, and I will show you that in a second. Don, hey, what's going on? Thanks for coming back. I live in Florida, north of Tampa, Spring Hill. We're going to be cold, but I love the cold because I'm from New York. I love the cold too. It felt great this morning in Central Florida. It felt great. I don't think we're going to see snow, or freezing rain is hard to get in Florida just because you need to have the air right at the surface be below freezing. As you have the precip falling, and that's really, really hard to do. I don't think with this round of snow, or this big winter storm, we're going to get snow in New Orleans this time around, and I hope everything is okay. I hope everything is okay with those crazy tornadoes. We were live tracking those as they kind of went through very close to downtown, of course, and you know all about that. Louisville, Kentucky. All right. You got it, Leroy. I appreciate you stopping by. You are welcome back anytime. We, again, always love to have the conversation. Louisville, Kentucky. All right. So here we go. I know this is kind of zoomed out because we want to just kind of hit everybody's location here when they pop a question up, but I'll highlight that for you because there's a lot going on. That's not Louisville. That's Georgia. Here we go. There is Kentucky. All right, and you see the blue. And I think the moral of this story is we would typically not be on the good side of this low pressure system for snow. It is going to be so cold, though, that the cold air blasts in, and I think we change this to snow pretty quickly, and I do think we get a little bit. I'm going to pull up the amount of snow here, the latest European, because I do, at this point, I'm latching on to the European solution more, and the GFS has since caved. Like, I want to make everybody aware about that. I know that on social media there was those crazy, crazy snow totals in the Northeast. I don't think it's happening, at least in the I-95 corridor. Chances of snow in East Tennessee. I think we have a shot. Especially in the higher elevations. We'll take a look at what the model output is kind of spitting out here for us. Just 1 second. But we have a shot at some light snow. Again, to officially, I think we're going to see snow in East Tennessee. I think we're going to see snow in Kentucky. I don't know how much we're going to get. I don't think it's going to be like a ton of snow where you're going to have to shovel or anything. You're going to move it around with a broom if it sticks. But I do think we could see some flurries, and it's going to be the same kind of thing. Be on the lookout for that flash freeze because the roads and things are going to be wet from the rain falling to start, and then that cold air really rushes in. So now we are looking at, I'm going to back this up just a little bit to kind of show you like where, and our friend from Duluth, from northern Minnesota, kind of asked about that. A few inches of snow are going to be possible there, but it's not like we had before. You got it. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you that it's a little more if you want that stuff. If you want the snow. But I do think we'll see some flakage, if you will, on a Thursday night into Friday morning. So I'm kind of looking at this run of the model in real time with you. And again, I never like to look out at snow totals this early. I know everybody wants that. It's more about the pattern recognition at this point. And certainly this is where, I mean, it looks like Western Michigan, Wisconsin, Chicago. If anybody's watching from Illinois, Northern Indiana, I think Ohio gets in on it. I think Western Pennsylvania to a degree. And then if our friend from Hershey is still watching, we're about right in there. I think the rain will change to some snow. It may have trouble sticking, but I think we'll see a little bit of snow. But you see clearly here where you're seeing the white, we're missing out. We're missing out on that white Christmas. Virginia, chances of snow. So I think in the higher elevations, like the Blue Ridge Mountains, I think we have a shot at getting several inches, especially on the west side. And the reason for that is we're going to get that upslope effect. So we're going to shift our wind direction. You see the rain come through, and then bam, same deal. Rain starting off in Virginia, depending upon what part of Virginia you're at. That's probably a better question for me to ask. If you're on the eastern side of Virginia, like Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Richmond, I think we're out of luck other than maybe a few flakes. But if you're in the mountains, like Hot Springs, Roanoke, Blacksburg, that kind of area, I think we might see some flakes. It's just going to be hard to stick. So keep that in mind. So if you tell me where in Virginia you are kind of watching from, we get at that a little more. Hey, are you specifically talking about for a white Christmas or for some snow or just the cold? I assume you mean the snow. So if you post that in the comments, I will get back into that. And we can look for you. If it's the snow, I think it's going to be a little too far north this time. All right, thank you for clearing that up. Deep South Texas, there is the model for you coming through, and then the blue represents the snow there. So that'll be an issue. I don't think we're going to get the moisture down there. It's going to be cold enough eventually, but I don't think we get the moisture to meet up. What's going on, Weather Watcher? Good to see you again. Gettysburg, PA. Okay, so I think we have a shot in Gettysburg for maybe a couple of inches. And again, we're going to fine-tune this. We're going to watch this all week. The pattern is still pretty volatile, but I do think we are going to see this stay inland. So here's the deal with Gettysburg, and I'll point a little dot kind of like where-ish anyway on the map, that orange dot right there. It's a little zoomed out because we're going to bounce it all over the country to talk about the snow and the cold that's coming. And if you want to see the cold that is right now charging up literally over Siberia, this outbreak of cold is going to be crazy. Just look at this. So here comes the snow coming through, and it's going to be windy as well. Who's traveling for Christmas, by the way? Post that in the comments. Or anybody traveling for Hanukkah? That's, of course, starts tomorrow. It could be kind of ugly. Yeah, no, and it's possible. Here's the deal: for the Florida temperatures to get below freezing, we need those clouds to get out of there if you want that. Of course, we don't want it for an extended period of time. Then you start having issues with pipes bursting if you get that under, it needs to be about 6 to 8 hours of below freezing. But if you're looking for that frozen potential, I mean, there are some indications that it gets mid-30s in Miami. So if we get the clouds out of here fast enough on Christmas Eve morning, I mean, we're going to be below freezing in Orlando, in Titusville, Kissimmee, down towards Lake Okeechobee. I think the only places that may be safe from that is going to be right along the Gulf Coast of Florida, Fort Myers area. So just nuts. Hey, Leroy, what's going on in Dallas? I don't think we get the white Christmas. We may be able to see a few last gasp flakes on the 22nd into early the 23rd. Excuse me. But I don't think we're going to see the white Christmas, and I don't think we're going to see a lot of snow. Yeah, I would caution. So that's the thing. So the models are gonna do this. They're gonna have the windshield wiper effect. They're gonna go back and forth, back and forth. That always happens here, especially with the snow totals. That's why it's a good idea not to really hone in. I know a ton of people were so excited about having a white Christmas in like Philly, New York, Boston. I just don't think that's happening. My official white Christmas forecast is coming out on Monday. I'm going to actually work on it as soon as I get off the live stream here, and we're going to have it out on Monday, where I think the best chances are going to be, now that we are getting into Christmas week. So I'll have that for you again on Monday, and then we're going to stay on top of this storm because I know a ton of people are traveling. Let me know in the comments if you're traveling. You know, it is, and that's a good point, and especially with how crazy the atmosphere is right now. And the other thing, I don't know how many straight up weather nerds that we have in this stream that look at like some of the teleconnections, like the NAO and the PNA and the La Nina, El Nino, things like that. And all of that stuff. All of those are lining up for crazy cold. Check. That is a given. That is a given. I don't know if it would let you. It might let you post that in the comments, David, but I'm not sure. That'd be the best way, and then I can go back in and look at it and take a look. That would be awesome to see that. Super unfavorable, and the reason for that is because it's the PNA. That's the only one we don't have. It is positive. I mean, excuse me. It is negative. We want the positive PNA. Because that puts the ridge here. The ridge is like way out here. Everything else is lining up. We have the blocking a little bit further north. We have the cold air coming. I mean, we have the cross-polar flow literally coming in from Siberia. We just don't have everything lining up to give it to the I-95 corridor and to like the Carolinas, things like that. I agree with that 100%. 100%. I think, though, here's the deal. I think there's going to be, I think you might see some flakes in like northern Alabama, northern Mississippi. It's not going to be anything noteworthy. There's the GFS representation. And the reason why I say that is because the cold air is just going to be rushing in so fast. I mean, watch what happens. Let me pull up the temperature map here just to kind of show you. And then I'm going to bring this. We're going to go into the Deep South or the Mid-Atlantic, and I'll show you here. Okay, let me find the Deep South. Bear with me, please. Talk amongst yourselves. If you're here for the first time, welcome. I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kegas. If you love talking and tracking the weather, we'd love to have you on board. That's my little pitch. Please hit the thumbs up button. It'll help get this video or this live stream out to more people. And if you love talking and tracking the weather, please hit that subscribe button. And if you hit the bell, you'll get notified when we go live. All right, so we were talking to one of our new friends from Kentucky. And I just want to show you how quickly this cold air comes in. So here we're going to fast forward to... You'll be able to see it. So there we go. Okay. This is crazy. All right. So for instance, and this is the same thing that's going to happen in northern Alabama. Look at the 40s in southern Illinois. We have the 50s down here in Mississippi, Alabama, North Georgia, 50s in Tennessee. You see this right here? This is our Arctic cold front. On one side, it's 44. On the other side, it's 28. So that's why I'm thinking that we are going to have a flash freeze situation where the roads are wet from the rain, and then just like that, things freeze very, very quickly. So again, if you're watching from really anywhere from Illinois, the Mississippi River points to the east, we're going to be under the gun for that. And then look at this. Look how quickly at 2 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time, we're talking. Let's just pick a spot here and let's focus. We'll go to northern Alabama. We're at 56. Okay. I'm going to turn off my telestration. Here comes the front. Look at the crazy drop in temperature. Okay, so here's the front right here at 0Z, which is 7 o'clock Eastern time in northwest Alabama. We're at 54. Ready for this? Watch. Bam. 6 hours later, we're at 11 degrees. 11 degrees. We just went from the mid 50s to 11 degrees in 6 hours. It's going to be insane. So you don't need to have the snow for this to be impactful. I would not be surprised if there are winter weather advisories issued for northern Alabama and northern Mississippi and North Georgia, not just because of the snow. And again, I think we may see a few flakes before all is said and done. But anything that is wet is going to freeze. It's crazy. I mean, these things are so crazy. How many times have I said that? That's my crutch word if you haven't noticed. Crazy. But then watch what happens going forward. I mean, I can look at the actual low temperatures. I mean, it's just nuts. And then we start to warm back up a little bit. I mean, warming up is the 20s a couple days later. Haven't lost faith. We can see some snow in Georgia. What part, Paulina? Because I do think you might be able to see some. Yes, let me pull those up. Stand by. Talks amongst yourself. We're going to look at the ensembles. The ensembles are a good thing to look at in this stage in the game because ensembles, and especially when we talk about it for hurricane season, you put in different initial conditions and it can kind of spit out when it doesn't have all the information. So we're trying to tell the story without knowing, the middle chapters, so to speak. South of Atlanta, yeah, that's not out of the question. That's not out of the question at all. It's crazy. This is going to steal the headlines. We were talking a couple of weeks ago that mid-December on, it was going to be gangbuster change of the weather pattern, and here we go. Yeah, no, we don't want that. I know. I hate when we have to settle. Again, I'm going up to Pittsburgh for Christmas. That's where I'm from, and I'm kind of upset. And I knew it, just knowing how the pattern was going to shape out. We really need that positive PNA, but maybe, just maybe, we can get a little something. Keep my fingers crossed. All right, so while we're looking at that, again, I'll take it back to the kind of just show you how intense that cold front is. And for those that are just joining us, see, we have a lot of new people on the live stream. First of all, I want to welcome you here. I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kegas. We talk and track all things weather. If you love to do that, we would love to have you on board. Please hit the subscribe button. And if you hit the thumbs up, that will help to get this out to more people over YouTube so that they can take part in our conversation. We try to go live every Saturday about this time to just talk about the weather, what's going on, what's going crazy, and of course to go live for the events in addition to some of the other content we post during the week. Right now, as we kind of look at that major Arctic cold front, this setup is literally called the Polar Express, so it is fitting where we are heading into. I just try to drink my pop, because I'm from Pittsburgh, with a cap on. You just saw that. All right. So let's go to, I'm going to pull up the ensembles for our friend Weather Watcher here. I love it. Hey, Skywatcher, good to see you again. We're going to check in on you. Northern has a shot. I think you will have a chance to do it as well. I don't know about a white Christmas. I don't know about how much is gonna stick. It's really not what we want in terms of where the low pressure is tracking. But since the cold air is going to be rushing in so fast, we may be able to see some flakes because, again, the cold air is coming in really, really quickly. So all right, so I'm going to pull this over. This is the ensembles here that he was talking about. So this is on Friday. Hey, they do. They do. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you. I'm keeping it crossed. And I don't think Big Snow, that makes sense. Yeah, that was the one. Was that the one that kind of shut everything down? I mean, I guess I think it was 2014 when everybody was stuck on the highway. So I do think a blizzard could happen in Chicago. We're going to take a look at that in a second, Ramon. We're going to look at kind of the ensemble forecast. And this goes into kind of where this storm is going. So this is going to be important for you and the eventual outcome of this storm. But you see here, all these little L's represent where it's the different initial conditions put into the GFS model, okay? And then each one of these members is a different solution on where the low could be. So you clearly see there's a lot of uncertainty here still, at least from the model perspective. We do have a few members out here. That would be good for the Northeast. I don't think that's happening, though. We have a nice cluster in here. We have a cluster in here. And then we have a cluster out here. So that's where we stand right there. In terms of the potential blizzard in Chicago, and I do think that this thing is going to ramp up. I mean, the temperature difference is going to be insane between the blast of cold, and we'll talk about that. I'll show you some of the cold coming back through. But here we go. I want to show you the surface. This is the Euro representation. And I mean, this would definitely be it. I don't have the one where it pops up the main low, but I mean, for instance, this isobar right here, away from the center, is 988. So I mean, now that's going to be like 984. 980, yeah. I mean, this the 976, as you mentioned. And look at the isobars. Again, isobars are the line of equal pressure. The closer those black lines are on the screen, the stronger the winds are going to be. If this verifies, I mean, we're gonna have a blizzard in Wisconsin, UP of Michigan, Illinois, Indiana. So if anyone's traveling the 22nd or 23rd of December, a couple days before Christmas, be on the lookout for this because this one is going to be ugly. So we'll go back to Southwest Missouri, and this is the same kind of thing. So it kind of starts out here. There is the first batch of energy, if you will. And you see it kind of materialize east of the Rockies, and any kind of rain quickly changes to snow. So it's snowing at a pretty good clip here in Southwest Missouri. So there you go, Skywatcher. Some heavy snow. And again, a lot can still change. A lot can still change with this. The atmosphere is extremely wavy. The jet stream's all over the place. But I'm honing in on this is going to be a main event for like the Great Lakes, Eastern, Upper Midwest. and then maybe getting into extreme interior New England, like maybe. I think I'm wish casting because I'm going to be in Pittsburgh for Christmas, and I want a white Christmas, but I really think that we're really looking towards out here, and then we're going to have snow here. And if you took a look at my white Christmas forecast that I put out on December 6th or December 7th, it all runs together now. We gave pretty high probabilities in the Panhandle of Texas through Oklahoma through Arkansas. I'm going to update that on Monday. I'm going to put out a video. So if you're interested in that, a lot is obviously going to depend upon how this system comes together. And I'm going to work on this as soon as I get off this live stream here. Hit the subscribe button. We would love to have you again in this weather community. If you love talking and tracking the weather, you have come to the right place. And thank you guys for finding us. And you guys have been awesome asking all these questions about where you are. And I am rooting for snow everywhere. I wish I could control it. I hope so. And I think you have a pretty good shot. I'll show you the model output here. I think I have it somewhere. Maybe I do not. I'll have to load it back up again. We're going to look. Of course, Ethan. Always good to see you and talk to you. If you guys are just joining the live stream while I am changing some things over, please post where you are watching from this morning. If you are new here, I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kegas, and we talk and track all things weather. We'd love to have you on board if you love the weather or just want to stay informed about it. Please hit that subscribe button as well. Anything at all in Richmond, Virginia? I think we're not looking at like a jackpot snowstorm in Richmond unless we see some super jackpot. Orlando, that's where I'm at right now. Good stuff, my man. Northeast PA, hope everything is going well with you again. And how much snow did you get? Some snow out of this deal? All right, we're going to go here. We're going to go to the snowfall. I think this is the one I want. This is the fresh 12Z Euro coming in. So this isn't all the way through yet. We'll see how far we can load that while we are on live, as the data is literally coming in real time. Andy, what's going on, my man? I think we have a shot at getting some snow anyway before Christmas with this system. But there you go. For Southwest Missouri, Skywatcher. The Euro, at least, and again, this is just a model forecast. I've not looked closely to put out my own forecast at this point. I'll probably have that later in the week with my own thoughts anyway. But just looking at this real time for you, looking at real time, it's once 3, 4, 5 inches of snow. So I think you have a really good shot at a white Christmas with this coming through. Hey, Terry, what's going on in northern Alabama? I definitely see that. I don't know how much sticks because of the ground. And again, the model we are looking at here doesn't really have anything. But I do think because of the fast nature of the cold air blasting in, we're going to see that rain change over to snow. Cowboy country. Don't get me on a football kick. It's the best time of the year right now. We got those Saturday games coming today. Side note, the Dolphins-Bills game tonight. We were robbed of the snow game because the snow came a day before with that crazy 6 or 7 feet of snow in Buffalo. Good lake effect snowband going to be really, really close to Orchard Park tonight where the Bills Stadium is. So it could have a nice snow game later on this evening. So tune in for that if you are interested in a snow game. If you have any fantasy players in the game tonight, running back heavy. That's my expert advice. So we'll take a look at oh, look at this. I love it. Thanks so much for tuning in, my Jamaican friends. We talked a lot this hurricane season, and I'm glad that we got through decently okay. Anyway, we had a couple of close bets, but making us all jealous of the sunshine in Jamaica. It's great to talk to you again. It is great to talk to you again. Glad to see you here. South Central Ohio, we have a shot. We have a shot. So the pattern, I think, gets even a little more right for a southern storm post-Christmas. It's not a slam dunk by any means, but we at least get that ridge to go over here. I'm going to try to bring up a bunch of different things while you talk amongst yourselves. So look at the teleconnections here. Yeah, so Ethan, real quick on that, it looks actually really ugly Tuesday into Wednesday. I'll show you that real quick since you're here. I got to back it up. There it is. There's all the rain. So, I mean, we're looking at heavy rain. Awesome. Great to have you here. Thank you for all you do as well. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. So we're going to take a look now at Oklahoma. I mean, my gosh, at the Smokies first and then Oklahoma. So we're going to go over here. So here's the deal for the Smokies. I think we start things as rain. We're not in the best setup for like a big snowstorm, but I think as this kind of pulls away, we have a shot for some flakes. So here we go in the Smokies in East Tennessee, right in the blue there. And I think because the colder air is coming in so fast, we're going to change that rain to snow. It's a very atypical system in the sense that you normally don't really bank on that changeover. It can really bust a forecast when the model kind of puts out a lot of snow on the back end. You don't really, again, bank on that when you forecast snow. This is different because of how crazy fast the cold comes in. And if you guys are just joining us first, welcome. We'd love to have you. If you want to hit that subscribe button, hit the like, hit the thumbs up. That helps YouTube send this out to more people to join our conversation. I lost my train of thought. I need my caffeine again. We're going to Oklahoma. Absolutely. And again, thank you for everything you do. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that you guys get some snow on Christmas. Again, I don't think it's going to be a ton of snow, at least at this point, unless we have some drastic changes. But I do think you'll see some flakes. Same for Alabama. Somebody mentioned that. Sorry, the comments are coming in quickly. So thank you guys for flooding that. It's great talking to you this afternoon. So Tulsa, Oklahoma. I think we're going to see some snow. Yeah, I do need coffee because there's no lid on that or no cap. I started to drink the Coke with a cap on. Even more evidence that I need some caffeine this morning or this afternoon. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. I need more than caffeine. I need some help. Anyway. So here we go. This is on Thursday afternoon, and we're going to have this like clipper that starts out as just a nice area of low pressure riding down the Rockies like this. Now watch what happens. There's a little bit of snow. It's not a ton, and same for Arkansas. I had said, somebody asked about, there we go right there. I knew I saw Arkansas somewhere in the chat. We're going to have a shot at some snow. It's not going to be a ton. We'll pull up the model again. And this can change. And I'm going to fine tune this forecast. I'm going to have a video later in the week, probably on Tuesday. So if you're interested in that, I'm gonna have the White Christmas forecast come out on Monday. My update on where I think the White Christmas is going to be, which is kind of related to the storm because a lot of us need that for the White Christmas. And then on Tuesday, I'm going to have a more in-depth video on where this is going. So if you're interested in that, you can hit the subscribe button, you can hit the thumbs up, and then you can also, the notification bell will let you know all that stuff as well. Interesting. I wonder who is saying about a foot of snow in northwest Arkansas. Typically for Arkansas, we would need this. We would need, for Arkansas to get its biggest snows, we would need this trough here, that this dip in the jet stream. Let me change my color again so we can see this a little bit better. We would need that dip to be a little further down here. And I don't know, like the European, just for reference, since I have that up, I've not seen anything that wants that's suggesting that. I mean, even further north, back into the colder air and back into the extra moisture, I mean, we're talking about maybe 6 to 8 inches of snow in southwest Iowa into northern Missouri. We might be able to get a few inches in extreme northwest Arkansas. That's according to that. I'm going to try to inspect to see what the heck that was. Canadian, kind of same, different thing. They do not. You're right about that. The new GFS just came in. I've not looked at its latest snow out. Yeah, so that's what it is. I mean, good call. It's the GFS. Go figure. So the GFS does want. I mean, it goes bonkers. East Wisconsin's looking pretty good right now. It is looking pretty good. I think all in all, it's going to be hard to get stuff to stick initially. It is such a bullish model. I hope we don't put the news channel. I'm in the news business. I work in local news, so I hope it doesn't put the news. I hope the local news doesn't go out of business. Are you talking about young people aren't watching the news? Because I mean, you're right about that. They aren't. That's why I'm coming at you here. All right, I'm gonna get the GFS. I think it's a little out to lunch. But the European is picking up the colder air. So I want to stress that. We also, the way that again, we don't have anything in the Gulf. And so we don't have any moisture coming up. This is all going to be, there's no phase going on or anything like that. So, you know what I mean? We're not really going to get our moisture. Yeah, Missouri is looking much better than Arkansas for sure. For the big snows, South could have the deep South could have a potential ice storm. So here's the deal with ice, and I'm just gonna draw something here. We may be able to have a little bit of mixed precip. I'll show you first. And then I'll show you how we get ice in the South. You see we have a very thin strip here of pink right there. That's where the rain changes over to snow. We have some sleet. It's not a good freezing rain situation. And freezing rain is where we get the ice accumulation. How you get ice, you need to have kind of cold air coming down in the surface. So right at the surface. But then you need to have a mechanism that is sending warmer air. Let me change my color here. So we have the colder air coming in like this, okay? But then we also have, we'll use the black color. We have warmer air surging that goes up and overruns. Because in the situation where you have an ice storm, you have it starting out as snow way above your head. And then it melts. There's a warm layer of air a couple thousand feet up, and then right at the surface, it's below freezing again, and then all those rain droplets freeze on everything. I mean, so I'm with you. Typically, though, this is where the European does good. There's not a southern. It's when the European struggles, there's a southern stream involved. And there's not a southern stream involved here. This is all a northern stream deal. And the European has already been more correct than the GFS because the GFS wanted to nail the I-95 corridor. And it's not going to happen there. It's not going to happen here. Some other channels are saying ice storm as well in the deep south. Now, okay, so here's the deal. They 100%. I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you on that. And that's why we're here. I mean, again, both have their moments for sure. Getting back to that conversation. I'm just trying to see. The only thing that I can think of. I mean, there's literally absolutely nothing that screams ice storm to me. Nothing. The only reason maybe they're saying that is because of that flash freeze. Things are moving along so fast that there's just not enough time to keep it at freezing rain for long enough. I don't know. I could be out to lunch. Maybe I need more coffee, and I'll look into that a little bit deeper. I'll look at some balloon sounding or forecast balloon soundings to see if something's out to lunch or if I'm out to lunch, which again I could be. Hi everyone, Texas area looking at temps. Thursday morning is 12 degrees. Let's go out to the Lone Star State, and we are gonna take a look at some of those temperatures. I think Texas is a great example here of how quickly, and because Texas is so big. You're still talking about Northwest? I'm sorry, are we talking about Arkansas or Missouri? I apologize. I'm all over. I was reading so many comments. Hit me one more time. I'm going to pull up, while we do this, I'm going to pull up the Texas temperature map real quick, and then I'm going to pull up an actual SKU-T, and we're gonna look at this to see what's going on here. Okay, perfect. Stand by with me. I don't think so. I think that you might be able to see some snowflakes there at the tail end of this system, but I don't think it's going to be enough to really stay there for Christmas. Although if something sticks, it's not going anywhere because it's going to be freezing. It is going to be freezing. Okay, so question on this with everybody talking about, are they referring to this storm or the one after Christmas? So that's a different story. If they're referring to the one that's coming after Christmas, that is more of our setup for an ice storm in the deep south and southeast. So that's important to note. So if somebody can clarify where they heard that. Dude, that's awesome. It is great to have you here, my friend. It is great to have you. And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. So, no, we'd love to have you join the community. And like I said, we try to get on here every Saturday afternoon. And then certainly when there's stuff going on, we go live here to have this stuff too. So thank you for finding us. And again, I'd love to have more conversations with you as well going for you. Hey, Gary, what's going on? All right, so again, lost train of thought. We're going to go to the U.S., of course. We are going to go to Texas. Texas may be the best example here of how crazy this temperature drop is going to be. All right, so we're going to fast forward out to the drop. We are watching the newest run come in. So I think we're going to get this while we're live on the air. Hey, what's going on, Leo? Happy holidays to you as well. That we're going to get the latest European run in. Okay, so that makes more sense. I apologize. I thought that you were referring to this one coming up pre-Christmas. The one that could be after Christmas definitely has ice storm potential. I'm sorry to everybody that I thought that we were talking about the big system. So my apologies. There is certainly ice storm potential with that second one if it gets going, because you need it to ride out of the south rather than come out of the north, because you need to pump in some warmth above the cold air. And as the mullet barber mentioned before, the cold air is already going to be in place for that one, because this thing that's screaming across the country this week is going to literally set the stage and freeze everybody. Gotcha. My bad. So sorry to not argue, but sorry to kind of push back on that a little bit, because I was going to say I don't see I don't see ice storm potential with the first one. Maybe some sleeter, a little bit of stuff. Look at this. Here comes look at the crazy cold. Look at this. This is crazy. I mean, Houston. This is on Thursday afternoon. All right, Houston-ish area. We're at 70. The Panhandle of Texas is already at 4 degrees. Just nuts. And then, bam, by 1 a.m. on Friday morning, we're at 20 degrees in Houston. Absolutely nuts. So just some crazy stuff. Hey, Rosemary, thank you so much for finding us and sticking with us. You got it. I will, Jeffrey. We'll go to now. We talked about the Virginia, D.C. area a little earlier. We're going to head back in that direction for you. And so here we go. This is the European solution here. And I think for the most part, it's just a cold, ugly rain. A cold, ugly rain. We might be able to see a few little ugly snowflakes mix in towards the event end. And then we get blasted with the cold. So I'll show you that here. Hey, Mark, what's going on? And you guys could get more with this as well. All right, so I'm going to take a look at Virginia first. And then I am going to look at some of the then we'll go back to the temperatures because Frank is also interested in this flash freeze. And I think for a lot of people, this is going to catch everybody off guard because I know everyone's going to be focused on the snow, but the temperature drop is going to be so fast and so extreme. I mean, we're literally going to be dropping like 40-ish degrees in about 6 hours. You know, I've not looked, so I'll admit I have not looked too much at the second system. I know that it's there, and I know the way that it's coming in. So that would lead me to believe that there's at least some potential. But I'll get back to you on that. I've not been able to do the analysis on the second one because things were so crazy last week with the tornadoes and the blizzard. All right. Thanks, Ethan. Appreciate you, man. Enjoy the chill. Hey, Leo in Chattanooga. All right. So here's the deal. We're going to go, we're going to go to Virginia first, and then we're going to work our way back down south if you stick with me. Because we have a lot of questions coming in about Houston. 22nd. I don't think we're going to see snow in Houston on the 22nd. Here's the kind of, I mean, it does get close. Here's the end here. It does get close, but for us, it's more about the crazy drop in temperatures from literally the 70s to the 20s in about 6 to 12 hours. All right, we're going to go to Virginia. So I mentioned about the cold rain. It was probably going to be ugly, but the drop in temperatures. I have way too many tabs open. Does anybody else have issues with just opening up tabs and not being able to find anything? I literally... All right, so here we go. This is a zoomed-in look. Here, of course, is DC right there. And we almost have a good amount on the new European end, so we can look at that together. We'll hang out tight until we get that. Okay, so this is on Thursday night. So this is about 7 o'clock Thursday evening. We're talking about temperatures in D.C., Northern Virginia at 50 degrees. Watch what happens. Look at that. We're pushing 60 on Friday morning. Okay, this is when things change. This is 60 degrees on Friday morning. And then it drops all day long. And then by Saturday at 1 a.m., we're in the single digits to low teens. So this thing means business. Jamar, all right. What about Detroit? And then I saw a pretty serious question about Texas from Electric Cut. So we're going to look to that. If I'm not mistaken, I think that was a super long duration chill. Like if I'm remembering correctly, that did that. And of course, we know the issues with the power grid. So we're going to take a look at that for you in a second. We'll look a little closer at Texas again. The first storm, Jamie, I love your logo. I'm from Pittsburgh, huge Steeler fan as well. Ugly year. Okay, so we are going to head to Detroit. We're going to head to Detroit, and I'm going to show you. I mean, right now, we were talking about Michigan earlier, and I mean, we could get close to blizzard status. Somebody just asked about, Kyle, hey, what's going on? Western North Carolina mountains, it doesn't look like a ton right now. I think we're going to have a lot of warm air coming up, but we might be able to see a little bit stick because of how cold it's going to get. And then, Jamar, we were looking at you in Detroit. Of course, here we go, give or take. These lines of equal pressure here, these isobars, when they are tightly packed like this, that means it's really, really windy. Really, really windy. And, I mean, I think we could close in on blizzard status. Again, it becomes harder to get a blizzard over here. This is like blizzard country where we just had an extended blizzard. But I think it's certainly possible. Mindy, I've not looked much at the second storm, but I do believe that we have a shot. Let me pull up. Yeah, see, the GFS doesn't even show anything, but I think that's wrong. I think we will have something there, and the issue with ice is that you need to have the cold air in place and then the warm air kind of overrun that cold air, and that's the situation that we'd be getting in if we can get a storm to develop. The pattern is right for a storm to develop. We're just going to keep our fingers crossed that it doesn't because nobody likes ice. In Texas, we're going to go back to Texas and look at the temperatures in the U.S. Of course, we go there, back to Texas. I mean, that is really cold, of course. It's going to be cold everywhere east of the Rockies. Okay, so the good thing is that yeah, and now, Mark, the European does want snow in Michigan. Yeah, and Gary has a point there if it does stay cold enough. But you see, as we already get to, this is going to be on Wednesday, December 26th, the evening of, we're already back into the 40s and 50s. So we are at least already above freezing and well above freezing again. And we'll check as we speak, and I'm gonna stay on live until we get through the storm here. On the European model, the new European model is coming in as we speak. And we're going to break that down together. I've not seen it yet because it's fresh. So we're going to look at that too. Insanity 08, what's going on? South Dakota. Sorry, I was going to say, where are you talking about? I missed the SD part. Going to get a foot on Wednesday. I see a lot of weather forecasts predicting that. A foot might be bullish, but I think we're going to see some snow because that's where our little piece of energy kind of comes out. Sorry about that, Mullet Barber. Yes, we're going to do that right now. I'm just going to look at make sure that South Dakota, it's not a ton of snow in South Dakota, but we will get snow where we didn't have it with the blizzard because it's going to be cold everywhere. So like Sioux Falls, eastern South Dakota, we're going to get a little bit of snow from that. All right. Can we check the winds and the temps on both models? So let's go down to Arkansas. So here we go. This is going to be the Euro, and since we have it, we're back in the corner here. So we start things off. Here's 12Z. This is going to be 6 a.m. Central Time. Here's our front. We're in the 40s to start the day in northwest Arkansas. But you can see our front. There it is, right there. This crazy, crazy change in color here is our Arctic cold front. And then, bam, This is what I'm talking about, the flash freeze. I think this is going to catch a lot of people off guard. And this, other than the snow and potential blizzard towards Chicago area, Indiana, and again, not banking on that. The winds, I think, are going to be strong enough. I can't tell you the corridor at this time being what, Saturday afternoon, and this is coming in on Wednesday and Thursday. I'll fine-tune that. We'll fine-tune that. But look at this. We're going from 44 in rain. The roads are wet at this point, okay? Look how quickly this is going to change. We go from 44 at 7 o'clock, or 6 o'clock, I should say, Thursday morning. Bam. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's 6 degrees. We just dropped from 44 to 6 degrees in 6 hours, and that's in the afternoon. This is an insane Arctic cold front. I mean, again, this is pure Arctic air that is spilling down literally from Siberia. That's where it is charging up right now. So this is going to be, it's going to be nuts. So there are the temperatures. So it has you getting down to that. And for more, we'll go to what I want to do now is I'll take you to the actual minimum temperature because that's just the temperature at that hour so that we can see what that is. We're going to go out. So this is, look, we have the fresh one out to, yep. My gosh. So it's got you at 2 degrees and still falling Thursday night. Let's see what you bottom out as. Oh, yeah, you're well below zero, my friend. There's Friday morning. You see that blue color here? We're talking negative 8 degrees-ish. Okay, I don't know what exact part of northwest Arkansas, but you are negative 8 there. We'll see what the fresh GFS wants for you. About the same. You're below zero for sure. Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, negative 8, negative 9. So they are both about the same. So in northwest Arkansas, you're going to bottom out into that 5 to 10 degrees below zero. That is without the wind. Keep that in mind. Damon, I know the risk of frostbite is very high in some states because the wind chill being so dangerously low that can cause frostbite. Yeah, that is a great point too. The wind chill is going to be 50 to 60 degrees below zero in eastern Montana, the Dakotas, maybe northern Minnesota as well. That's frostbite in about 5 minutes on exposed skin. It's crazy. It's crazy. Hey, Rayshawn, I do think there's going to be some snow in Arkansas, especially northern Arkansas. Maybe a couple of inches of snow as well. We were just looking at you in terms of the temperature, and then we're going to check out the wind. If I can get my telestration to shut off so I can click on the thing. All right, here we go. Let's look at the wind gusts. So where you see the yellow here, that's wind gusts of more than 34 knots. That's what the units are in knots. It's about 40 miles an hour. Okay, so now the wind chill takes into account the sustained winds, so not the wind gust to calculate the wind chill. And it's kind of, again, the wind chill is the apparent number. It's only impacts living things, so it's not going to impact pipe. Oh, it's going to be way below freezing anyway. It doesn't even matter. It's crazy. So we're going to check out the wind chill real quick. All right, we're getting there. We're loading the Euro. We're close anyway. Hey, Hans, what's going on? So I don't think North Carolina is going to get a ton with this first one. Let me get back, and while I'm doing this, I see we have a ton of people on. Thank you guys so much for finding this. So if we get it sustained, yeah, and I mean, he brings up a good point too, that it's not about the amount of snow. Like, it wasn't snowing for the second part of the blizzard in the Dakotas. So like, I want you to know that too. It's not about the amount of snow. It's about the wind speed and visibility. I don't know that we are going to be able to sustain 35 for 3 hours and keep visibility below a quarter mile. Again, we need both of those consecutively to verify a blizzard. So I would vote against that, or I lean on the lower probabilities of that. But, I mean, like you said, anything's possible. Kevin Garnett said it. Anyway. All right, so let me, let's see. Virginia, it's just going to be cold. If you are in the eastern side, it's going to be mainly a lot of questions about North Carolina. We're going to take a look at North Carolina in a second, and I did remember to take the cap off this time. While I'm changing up some maps, welcome. I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kagas, and mentioned it before. We love talking and tracking all things weather. If you are new here and finding us for the first time, again, welcome. If you want to talk weather, we get on here every Saturday and we post new content during the week. We would love to have you. I love talking to everybody and what they think is going to happen with the weather as well. So I would love to have you on board for the ride. If you hit that subscribe button, that'd be awesome. Hey, Jamal in the Bahamas. Good to see you. Will. It's going to be chilly in the Bahamas. This is a nasty front. It's crazy. It is crazy. I mean, we'll go check that out for you. Who wants to go to the Bahamas? Because that's where we are going to go. If I can find where that is at. I think Houston could. It's on the maybe a few flakes. I don't think it's anything crazy, though. Maybe a few flakes. The pattern stays right through early January, so there is a shot to get snow in North Carolina. I think there's one other system that follows the big one post-Christmas. There's still some hazy details, and I myself have not looked deep into that second system because I was focused on the severe weather and blizzard from last week, and now this junk coming in for Christmas week and Hanukkah week. Again, that starts tomorrow too. But, again, the winter looked active for the end of December and early January. And then it looks like there was another round of as well. Paulina, I think it will. And somebody asked this before, and forgive me for not answering it. Someone asked about an El Nino. We are going to be heading into an El Nino next year. Now that's good, relatively speaking, for hurricane season. But remember, it only takes one. Even in a down. I mean, remember, this year kind of reminded us of that. Even though we were in a La Nina, certainly 92, Andrew, but. That's a story for another time as we close in on hurricane season. See, this is one of the deals that I get sidetracked. So they're going to have to reel me back in. All right, we're going to look at the Bahamas because not even the Bahamas can escape. You're going to see on social media, too, the iguanas falling from the trees in Florida because of the cold weather coming through. So that's always It is. That's why it's going to be a story for another time. I think that El Nino comes in just as we start, so it may take the atmosphere a little bit of time to realize that it's now shifted into. It would. I think you could see some snow in North Georgia with this thing coming around as the rain changes over to snow. It's not going to be anything crazy, but there's going to be that potential there. Okay. So just keep that in mind. I think you have a really good shot. I need the Southwest Atlantic. There we go. All right, so here's the Bahamas. Here comes the front. I need the last run because we don't have it yet. So it looks like your coldest part is going to be on Christmas Day. I mean, the good news is you're going to have the warmth push back in really quick. So the Bahamas is going to be the place to go. But as my friend mentioned, he's going to be falling into the upper 50s in the Bahamas, especially in the northwest side. Note this, Puerto Rico, we're back to the upper 70s when all this is going on. So we will escape the cold front. I will keep my fingers crossed for you. Northeast Ohio. Let's head up to Northeast Ohio. And I will need to pull this back up. This is going to be the GFS representation, but it looks very similar to this is going to look very, very similar to the Euro, where I think we start things out as rain. The low is positioned right on in here. See that little red thing? There's the L. And then on the right side of that low pressure, we kind of pump in all of this relative warmth right up through Virginia, Pennsylvania, the Carolinas. That's why I don't think we're getting a lot of snow. This is not a good setup for snow on the East Coast. But because the cold air is rushing in like crazy, you see what happens when we get that changeover. So backing up to Oklahoma City as well, we are going to have a chance at some snow. You see right here, we have Oklahoma City. We have a little bit of light snow. I don't think it's anything crazy, but we will have that. And again, I'm going to work on an actual forecast for these areas over the next couple of days. I'm going to try to have, I'm planning, at least if all goes to plan, to have my White Christmas Outlook, my revised one that I issued earlier in December, out on Monday. And then I'm going to have one specific to this storm on Tuesday. By that point, we should be able to see all the kinks in the jet stream get worked out. The actual low is going to be over the balloon network. That always helps to get a little more certainty with what is going to happen as we get our weather balloons up into the actual disturbance to kind of measure how strong it is, where it's going, and then the downstream impacts of it. So I really appreciate that. I really appreciate it. Thanks for finding it. Thanks for hanging on with us. It's great to have you aboard. I know it, because saying when it gets down into the 60s just to your north in Florida, it's the same thing. I hope so, and I think most of it is, but at the tail end, I think you can end things with some snow, kind of that Hallmark movie Christmas Miracle kind of stuff where it's rain and sadness, and at the end, you might be able to get a burst of that snow globe snow. Norfolk, Virginia, I think it's the same kind of fate for us, especially closer to the coast, because the main reason for that is we have the low cutting up here, and where we can get our big snows in Norfolk, and I used to live in Roanoke, pretty much right down the road from you. We don't like the low cutting up here if you want snow in this area. It just sends too much warm air up. The difference, though, again, in this one is because the cold air is coming in so fast that, I mean, we could see the flash freeze. And remember that term. You may hear that from your local news. If you watch that, the flash freeze, I think is going to be one of the biggest widespread impacts because the temperature is literally going to drop like 40 degrees. And this is pretty much everywhere. Like 40 degrees in about 6 hours. Do you see the very, do you see, sorry, I need more coffee. All right. Do you see there being a very slim possibility of blizzard-like conditions on this upcoming storm in northeast portion of Ohio with the intense cutoff of the temperatures? I do think there's a possibility. And this is the reason why. Okay, so we have, I mean, look at this. Okay, so this is the GFS representation. And let me get my telestrator out. See that number there? That is a 962 millibar low. The lower the pressure, the stronger the storm. Look at these black lines here. Those are called isobars, a line of equal pressure. When they are tightly packed like that, that means the wind is going to be screaming. So I don't know per se that you're going to verify a blizzard. It is really hard to do because you need to get the visibility down to a quarter mile or less and have sustained winds of 35 miles an hour. So blizzards are in the categories of their own because they, I mean, again, it's one of those upper level things there. So I don't know if we would actually get a blizzard, but blizzard-like is a different story. And I think we're going to have that shot there in Northeast Ohio. And also notice as well, now, for lake effect snow off of Lake Erie, you don't want the wind to be this strong. You need it to be in that kind of Goldilocks scenario. You need it to focus good, intense bands. But there will be some lake-enhanced snow on the back end of this system as the low moves up in this direction. We're going to increase those winds right off of the lakes. So somebody was watching from western Michigan. We should get some off of Lake Superior, off of Lake Huron. And I mean, travel could be a mess those 2 days leading up to Christmas on the 22nd and 23rd. So if you are traveling, post in the comments if you are. I would love to know where you're heading. And again, please be safe. Hey, good to see you, Alexandra. Thanks for hopping back on, and I'm glad we're not talking about severe weather because Hattiesburg and Mississippi and the Deep South have unfortunately taken on the deep Chinook. And we, of course, mentioned this at the start of the live stream that we are thinking about everybody impacted by those awful tornadoes over the last week and really 2 weeks extending back to that first round of severe weather. All right, let's see. Winston-Salem. So in Winston-Salem, I think we start things off as rain. And for the most part, I mean, we might see a stray flake. But unfortunately, again, for us to get snow in North Carolina, we want the cold air. We need a big chunk of high pressure right here. And we want the low out here to kind of ride up the coast. And actually, you even want something called like the banana high. So we have also high pressure back here. So we have the main cell like this, so that we just have it all cold back in that area. So, and I don't think we're gonna do that. Hey, Paulina, planning a trip from mid-Georgia to North Georgia on the 25th. Do you think it'll be safe and clean? Okay, so I don't think it's going to be too crazy. I know, obviously, the salting and stuff lacks in that part of the country because, obviously, we don't see it too much. On the 25th, I think we'll definitely be clear of this storm, I believe. Let me just double-check before I say that, but I think we're going to be... Yeah, so here, this is about 1 o'clock on the 24th. On the 24th. And the storm is way up here. So you're going to be in the clear. So you have another full day for things to recover. So it's going to be cold. It's going to be windy. Some areas might be slick, but I think the sun will come out, which will help the roads. So I think you're going to be okay. But again, as we get a little closer, I'll be able to give you a more definite answer. But by Christmas Day, this thing is going to be far away from you. So you should be good. I think we're going to have a shot for snow in Texas. Just mainly right around the Red River and into the Panhandle. I don't think this gets down to Dallas, Fort Worth, or Waco, or into Houston or anything like that, but right along the northern tier of the country, of the state. Just like that. Just like that. So right in there. I don't know about far South Texas, but I think there's going to be a shot for a storm in the south. And that's there was a lot of conversation earlier about the potential for an ice storm down there. That is there. I've not looked personally that far out since I've been focused on like the last week of severe weather and blizzard and stuff, and then now this one. But hey, the long range forecast verified that we put out earlier anyway that the second half of December was going to be rocking. So there's that. Didn't want it to be as rocking as it's been. What's going on, Jonathan? I guess we're about an hour and a half into this, but we are waiting for the European to come in to look at that in real time live to see what, if any, changes have happened. Snow in Tennessee, I think in the mountains especially. Here, I'll show you. Here's Tennessee if it's a little too far zoomed out on your device. I think a lot of the state, if not all, see some flakes. I don't think it really amounts to much, but I do think you'll see some flakes because of this blast of Arctic air that just comes racing in. Gary, what's going on? I used to live and work in Roanoke. Love Martinsville. Love it. Southwest Virginia is one of my favorite areas, especially come fall time. We're going to take a look at the temperatures for you. In terms of the snow, it's not much. I think you might see a few flakes. If anything, it's going to be over toward Blacksburg and into the mountains of Virginia. You might be able to squeeze out a few flakes. Hey, Big John. All right, let's see. Good afternoon. I'm late getting here. It's okay. You showed up. You might be able to get flakes. Because the cold air is going to come rushing in so fast that we might be able to have that changeover. I don't think it's going to be anything too much at this point. That leads us to a good point to see where we stand in getting the new European run in. We are 198 hours out. There we go. We have it. I think this could be a super major storm for Michigan next week. It's looking more and more likely. The pattern screams it. And now the model guidance is starting to support that it's going to be the Great Lakes region that get this. Now, this is hot off the press. So everybody watching here, this is the first time I'm dissecting this along with you here. This is the European model. The morning run from the morning balloon launches, all the weather data getting in. It takes a little while longer for the morning run of the Euro to come out. We typically have it by 2 o'clock, and we do. So I'm just going through this alongside you here. Here we go, 7 a.m., 6 a.m. Eastern time, I should say. This is about midnight on Thursday. So this is the makings of our little system right now. So some light snow going to be falling from Minnesota, the Dakotas, Nebraska. And then it really curls up. So here is, so I mean, the GFS is, or I mean, excuse me, the Euro, it really, the latest run here kind of takes it and then curls it even further like that. So it has the low now position right smack dab through central Illinois. So if you want snow in Chicago, this isn't your run. We're going to take a look at the upper levels, though. That's the most important thing at this point. And then here you go, Michigan, at least in this run. Now, again, this is not gospel. This is guidance. And I want to caution here, and this is where everyone gets in a tizzy looking at these models. It's the windshield wiper effect. At this stage in the game, it is going to go all over the place, okay? So if you're going to be... We've lost this in the I-95 corridor. In my opinion, this was never going to be a big storm for New York, for Philly, for anybody like that. This was never coming here. All that stuff you saw on social media was garbage. The GFS is crazy. It has since caved to the European. So if we're tuning in from the I-95 corridor in the Northeast, I'm sorry, but we're not going to get a white Christmas. Here we go. But then this is what, let's see. So Tennessee, we're still, according to this again, and again, I'm going to have my own thoughts on the system, and I can sit down and then dissect all of this information over the next couple of days. I'll post some content on the channel. There is still some of the snow in Tennessee. And then there we go. That does get a few flakes into Martinsville. Certainly along and west of I-81. Ho, this is music to my ears. Stick around. This is the most dramatic thing of the event, this temperature drop. I'm going to show you in a second. We're going to go back to Texas and look at that because you can really see it because obviously Texas is so big. Just wait. Stick around for a second. You will think this is insane. Okay? I just want to look at this last little bit. So here we go now in Michigan. And yeah, I do think it could be, if not an official blizzard, it could be close because the wind is going to be very, very strong again. And then the lake enhancement kicks up off of Lake Michigan. So like South Bend could get rocked on the back end of this. Lake effect snows all over Lake Huron. Let me turn back off, take you forward. Again, Western PA, Central PA. And then again, someone asked about North Jersey, New York City. Could we see snowflakes? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're just not going to get it to stick much. Okay? Let's see. And then we're going to go. And then it kind of pulls away. And then this guy might be that little storm down there. That's what we'll watch to see if it can get pulled up in this direction. We will see. We will see. But that's a story for another time. Let's get through Christmas week first. But we'll be on that. We are hoping for no ice at post-Christmas. Kendall, I'm going to check in on Texas real quick. We're going to look at the crazy temperature drop, and then we're going to go look at the new model output for Michigan if you have a couple of minutes. And if not, I'll still go on and check it, and then you can kind of review that a little bit later once this is posted. All right, to Texas we go. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for finding the channel and joining us in this weather conversation. If you guys are new here, I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kegas, by the way. And we talk and track all things weather. We try to get together at least every Saturday for a live chat, whether it's quiet, whether it's active. And then we go live a lot whenever there's something going on. And then, of course, the weekly content describing what I think the weather is going to be like. And I love to get your insight and see what you are seeing as well. So I love that we are building this weather community. And thank you guys so much for being a part of this and for subscribing and just joining this today. I appreciate you. So thank you guys, because it's fun talking to you guys and fun meeting people that you wouldn't necessarily meet. We have a couple people in Michigan. Hey, Mark. Hey, Brenda, it's going to get cold. We're heading out to Texas, Oklahoma area. So we're going to go on a trip out west. Oh, look, here we are. We're here already. All right, so Houston. Again, this is, oh my gosh, this is just crazy to me. We're having some issues with loading that. Oh, there we go. We're going to go back to the previous run because it's not completely in all the way. That's awesome. That makes me happy. I'm so glad. You're a weather enthusiast. It's fantastic. It's always changing. It's always something going on. There's never a dull moment. There's always something to look towards. All right. So Houston. Here we go. Where's the cold front? I love playing this game. Let's find it. So here it is. This is our cold front, okay? So out ahead of this front, not into Houston. Here's Houston. We're in the 70s at this time, okay? So Thursday afternoon, this is 1 o'clock Central Time. It's 72 degrees in Houston, okay? Up towards Dallas, it's the 30s. And then in the Panhandle, Amarillo, it is 18 degrees below zero. This is without the wind. It's 72 degrees in Houston, and it's 20 below right there on the corner of the border of New Mexico and Texas. Insane. So watch the drop here in Houston. Okay, so it's all right. It's going to be a nice day. Lovely. Nice, comfortable 72. At 1 o'clock at 72. Ready? It's 34 degrees by 7 o'clock at night. Again, pretty much everywhere across the country, we are going to see about a 30 to maybe even up to 45 or 50 in extreme cases degree drop in temperatures in about 6 hours. Everywhere in Oklahoma. Have a new friend in Oklahoma. I can't find any of the comments because there's so many. I apologize. But look at this. Everywhere in Oklahoma. This is Thursday evening at 7 o'clock in the evening. Okay? It's 15 to 25 degrees below zero. It's nuts. That's what all that color represents there in Oklahoma. The entire state of Oklahoma is double digits below zero. Arkansas, I think, is going to see some snow, especially the extreme northwest section of Arkansas. Jack, New Jersey, do you think we're going to get hit with any snow down here in Red Bank? Is Red Bank in the southern part of the state? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not too familiar with South. My wife and her family are from northern New Jersey, so I'm always looking at northern New Jersey. It's like pretty much 20 minutes outside of New York City to the west. But by and large, we may see a few flakes in Jersey. It's going to get as cold, though. Maybe not 20 below, but it's going to get very, very cold on Christmas Eve with a few flakes out there. But it's not going to amount to much. So I think we miss out on the white Christmas. You know, that actually does. That's pretty. I mean, I like to call this an Arctic invasion, maybe not an alien invasion, but I mean, it literally. I'll show you. So that brings me to my. I think I told somebody that. Kendall, that's who I told. Awesome. I appreciate you. We're gonna go look at Michigan, and then we're gonna take a look at this polar vortex thing that everybody talks about. It's a thing. It's used kind of like a buzzword hypey thing. But it is a thing, and it does have a hand in this. So we'll get up into the stratosphere in just 1 second. But as far as Michigan goes, let me get to the snow. I want to take this back to the new Euro, and then I want to go to Michigan. My chief meteorologist down here at in Orlando TV station went to Ohio State. If he heard me saying the word Michigan, he would disown me. All right, what am I doing? Okay, let's see. We're going up north to Michigan. I have to find that Michigan, Wisconsin. Michigan and Wisconsin. And then what part of Michigan? Oh, Roger, that's fantastic. That's awesome, man. That's all you were on last time as well. That's great stuff. Kendall asked a good question here. I think I don't think it's going to last as long. I don't think this blast of cold is going to last as long as the one that kind of kept power out and froze everything. It is going to be intense though. So that's the other thing. I mean, it's all dependent upon if they were able to fix stuff with the power, because the amount of power it's going to take is going to be extreme, and we may see something different again. Again, it's going to get very cold, as we just saw. So I'm hoping that they kind of learned a lesson in Texas and were able to do something with the power situation. Because the only thing that I can comment, the only thing that I can comment on in terms of is it going to be a repeat is the temperatures are going to be kind of similar. It's if the grid can handle it, and that part is outside of my area. Northern part of Michigan by the time, okay. Oh, that's awesome. You were way up there. I think you're going to get some snow. So here comes the first push. I mean, you get some on Tuesday. Yeah. Yeah. You're good. I mean, this is this thing ramps up. I mean, we're talking about you can get over a foot of snow up here, right? Let me just make sure that I'm telling you the right stuff. Up in that part of Michigan, I don't think you're going to get snow in southeast Texas. You may be able to see like an ugly crystal or two fall from the sky because the cold air comes in fast to change things over. But I don't think we're looking at like a widespread thing at this point anyway. That's crazy. That's insane. Those tornadoes were out of control. Like even on the first day, like everything that was going up that morning was spinning. It can shift east. So that's the thing. None of this is set in stone. We are just kind of breaking down. We were just kind of doing some some weather analysis together here. We were doing some analysis together. So this isn't my official forecast by any means. I'm going to work on that as we get into Tuesday-ish, and then I'm going to have my official White Christmas forecast out on Monday. So if you're interested in that, hit that subscribe button, hit thumbs up, and again, you'll be alerted when we post that content. And then Tuesday, I'm going to fine-tune what we can expect as we get into the Thursday, Friday storm. I'm going to try to have a snow map ready that has my forecast. It kind of takes all the noise out of the model. All right, by the thumb. Okay. All right, so it's not going to be as intense as up here in the UP. So right about here. And then, let's see, let's go out further in time. Okay, Jalen, I can sense some wish casting, my friend. How far east are you calling significant? Like I-95 corridor east, or like something that could get Chicago, Indiana? I have gone over the ensembles, but we can look at that again. But in Michigan, we're going to get some snow, especially western Michigan, because the low is going to be up here, and then we're really going to crank up the lake effect machine. I mean, look at that. That's all. We have the first round of the actual storm, and then right along Lake Michigan, we get crushed with lake effect snow. And then same deal here, South Bend into Chicago, we get crushed with lake effect snow. And then right down here, northern Wisconsin, excuse me, that over the lakes. All right, we are definitely wish casting. Here's what I'm going to say about that. I think we could maybe see a few flakes mix in at the end. Otherwise, we're going to miss out on this one. It's going to be a cold rain. Yo, it really could. It really could. I mean, that wind looks nasty, as you well know. And, I mean, even if you don't get a ton of snow in Indiana, I mean, it's going to be blowing. And there's something coming anyway. And especially the northern side. I mean, it's going to be windy with lake effect snow. Like, it's going to be wild. Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing here. I mean, we're talking about this crazy cold, and it's like, you know, hopefully they were able to fix some things and improve some things since the last round of cold air in Texas. Chicago is going to get slammed, at least by the lake effect. It's still out there. It's still yet to be determined as to how this storm actually, unfolds. So we're still waiting for a little more data. Here, I want to look at this alongside you here. I'm going to refresh this. This is the 500 millibar map. This is the upper levels of the atmosphere. Just to kind of see, this is the most important thing we can look at this stage in the game. Ensembles are good too. See, and again, this is a pretty drastic change, even from last night's run, because, and this is why I think the I-95 corridor is out. Number one, it's not the right setup for, an I-95 big snowstorm. Again, you may see some flakes on the tail end of this, but it's not the right pattern for an I-95 storm. But this thing kind of curls up quicker, and this is there's the low. So, I mean, it may not, before it was like diving a little bit further south. Let's see. And it kind of goes up this way. So let's go back. I think there's a shot in Mobile. Actually, wait. You say no? I don't think there's a shot in Mobile. I'm sorry. No shot in Mobile. I don't know why I was thinking like northern Alabama. In northern Alabama, I think there's a chance for a little bit of flakes, just a little bit. But I don't think it's getting down to Mobile. Hey Kareem, yeah, I do think there's going to be the shot for a little bit. I don't think we're really going to add up I don't think we're really going to add up the accumulations. Here is the latest, and I'll show you the latest. Again, just a little bit. So it starts out as rain. Let me bring on the right here. There's a little bit of snow mixing in, especially in like the higher elevations as you get closer to the mountains in eastern Alabama. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you for joining in and having the discussion with us. It's been awesome. Yeah, I mean, again, I think there could be some flakes just because of how fast the colder air comes in, but I don't think this is going to be. I don't think this is going to be a deal where we're talking about like the South is crippled by snow or anything like that. It's just not it's not the right pattern. Yes, so same kind of deal. And while we're pretty much have it on the focus here, there you go. There's I-81 right in there. I know my little black marker is very thick. It's mainly going to be rain, but I do think we could end with a little bit of snow. For the 26th, I think Atlanta's looking okay. I think we're good. I think you're quiet. We have some kind of ugly weather coming through the 23rd. There's the 24th. And then there's Christmas Day. So this goes out to Christmas Day. And everything. Awesome, man. I appreciate it. You the man. Thank you so much. Thursday night in Nashville. We're going to go back to Thursday. So this is 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock Central Time. Very good question. I'm glad you asked. Stick with me for a second or two. I'm going to check out. We're going to look at. What was I just doing? I lost my train of thought now. We're checking out Nashville, and then we're going to go to Arkansas, and then we'll talk about the pattern. So give me like a minute or two. So here's where we go. I think in the evening you're still okay. Just watch because this thing here's our cold front right here. Okay, here's where the front's coming through. Nashville's right there. That's about 6 o'clock Central Time. Okay, so it's gonna start out as rain, but there we go. And again, even though this is not the pattern you would want for snow in Nashville. Literally, the Arctic is being unleashed. So this colder air rushes right in behind. Here's our low up here, and it just comes right on in. So it changes everything over. And then again, that's one of the things here. That's one of the things that we're going to be watching closely is that flash freeze potential as well, because the roads are going to be wet before the things turn down, or before the temperature drops. And then we're literally going to see the bottom fall out. Maybe 40 degree drop in about 6 hours, give or take. So absolutely nuts. Just crazy. My name is Jonathan. I hear you, man. I hear you. So we're going to head back to the boot of Missouri. It was Missouri, right? No. Okay, Missouri, Boot Hill, Arkansas. Gotcha. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll be here. We'll be watching it all week long. And safe travels if you are traveling. Let's see here. So we're going to go to the boot. And there we go. So there's going to be some potential in Northeast Arkansas. There's still some uncertainty here. So I want to be clear that we're just like breaking down this model here in real time, which is something I typically like don't do. I don't like to just rapidly post models everywhere because there's no point to forecast. You know what I mean? Like if the models were better than meteorologists, you wouldn't need meteorologists. So the goal is to beat the models here. That's what I like to try to do. I remember you saying that before. That is awesome, man. That is awesome. You guys crush it, of course. You guys crush it. Yeah. So somebody mentioned it's like the day after tomorrow, the helicopter scene when the people get out of the helicopter and freeze. It's not going to be that bad, okay? But it's gonna be cold fast. Okay, so this it's kind of hard to see on this one here, but this little red line is the 540 line. Right up into here where I just drew it over on the black side. That's the 540 line. And what the 540 line is, for those that don't know, it's relatively speaking, kind of at first glance where you would look to see the rain snow line. It's not always the case, especially when you have mountains involved, but it's a pretty good gauge where you start to inspect a little bit deeper. Maybe it would probably be more like that grapple stuff where it's like kind of like a deformed snowflake in North Georgia. You got a shot. And again, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's a good starting point anyway. Then you have to look a little deeper. You can pull up a skew T diagram where they're from the balloon launch to kind of read the temperature profile all the way up. But yeah. Let me see here. I just lost, where'd my chat thing go? Alrighty. Bay City. Ooh, all right. We're going to go to Bay City, Michigan. A lot of people tuning in from Michigan today. I think you've got a pretty good shot to advance in the college football playoff. But what do I know? All right, so you're kind of close to where Kendall was tuning in from. She was just a little bit further to the east of you. And I think you're going to get a few inches of snow, at least. And again, I'm going to put out my own forecast coming on Tuesday. That's what I hope to do anyway. And I'll have the white forecast kind of preview what my official forecast for a white Christmas is going to be, and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna have this a little more in depth on Tuesday. Kind of like my own swing on this as we kind of get some things together. We're just kind of playing with this together and looking all that stuff. But yeah. All right, so one final thing, because I'm about to lose my voice, I think. I could feel it. I promised that I would show you what a good pattern would be for an East Coast snowstorm, like your good, big, crushing snow in like Philly or New York or Boston, those big behemoth nor'easters. And I'll show you the difference. So what I'm going to do now is we are going to go back to the most important thing you can look at this stage in the game is the 500 millibar ensembles, okay? Excuse me. Ensembles are good things to look at as well. This is going to be the 500 millibar heights and vorticity. Absolutely. And that's one of the other things to do is look at the trends. The GFS was on something the last couple of days. And I know that a lot of people were getting excited in New York City. I saw it on social media yesterday. I'm like, no, this is not going to blast New York City. This is not going to blast Philly. We may end up seeing some snow in the back end, but this is not the I-95 storm. It's not the right pattern. This is the pattern that you want. So we're looking for the Boise Ridge. So you know where Boise, Idaho is, right about here. We want that ridge of high pressure to be just about here. Now it's close, but more often than not, the modeling is showing the ridge back here, which will tend to have an inland runner, kind of like what we are seeing. That's one of the reasons why early on you kind of knew that the GFS was going to be wrong with an East Coast storm. And then you get a little more confidence by knowing that pattern and then seeing one of the models, that's why you look at every model and just don't, focus on one. But so now we have the pattern recognition check. We have the model trend check coming from the I-95 corridor and the GFS, meeting up with, as David mentioned again, with the Europeans. We have two things. So there's comes our better agreement. It's meeting up with what the actual pattern is suggesting. When I forecasted snow for my TV job, I would always, 3 days out is what I would always do the first map. That's when I am confident. I've been studying the pattern. I've been doing that. So really 3 days out. So that's like Monday or Tuesday. Certainly, I always say once we get the area of low pressure out over our balloon network. Satellites do a much better job measuring the system now over the open waters of the Pacific or up in Canada. But once our balloons get in there, it's almost like the hurricane hunters. The forecast gets much, much better for a hurricane when the hurricane hunters get out there and drop their instruments in there so we can see like where exactly the center is and what the environmental conditions are and how strong the storm is. And then that all goes into the models. It's the same kind of deal with that. Satellites do a really good job in kind of focusing on what those are as well. But our weather balloons are great to get that in there and get that data into and get that in there. So we kind of have the ridge out here, and that's why we have the inland runner. You want the ridge to be right about here and then following the jet stream up. The storm comes up in here. It continues in that direction, and sometimes there's the subtropical jet involved as well. You have the area of low pressure moving through Florida. You have the upper low diving down, and then they meet right off the East Coast. Bam. Explosion. Huge nor'easter. That's not happening this time around. So again, if you see models showing a ton of snow along the I-95 corridor, it's not happening. It's just not. Not this time. And believe me, nor'easters are my favorite thing to forecast and to witness. It's good stuff. Pretty much, it's amazing how things come together. I'm keeping my fingers crossed with you guys. Hey guys, this was awesome. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It was great talking to everybody. It was great seeing where you were tuning in from. I don't think it's going to be a good snow per se in Kentucky, but I do think you are going to get a little bit of snow. At least that potential is there because the cold air is going to come rushing in and change that snow or change that rain to snow. Kareem says he system 5 to 6 days out. Things might change just because it's showing snow in the northeast and northwest doesn't mean it's right. It's right. It can always change. The weather is very humbling as a forecaster. It's a very humbling thing. Vinny, I think we're going to miss out. We're going to have a kind of a cold rain. No snow for us. You might get in on some flakes at the very, very end, but we're going to pump in a ton of warm air over to Long Island. You got it. And thank you guys for hopping on here. I appreciate it. If you are finding us for the first time again, I love it. I love you guys. Hey, thank you all so much for tuning in. It was great talking and meeting everybody. If you're finding us for the first time, I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kegas, and again, we talk and track all things weather. If you enjoyed this conversation, we try to go live almost every Saturday afternoon, whether the weather is quiet or not, just to kind of hang out. And we post content during the week on what the weather is doing, and we go live when the weather is extremely impactful and when that event is happening in real time. So if you liked the conversation today, and if you like talking and tracking the weather together, please hit that subscribe button. Please share this with your friends, and we'll catch you next time. Again, my plan this week is to have my white Christmas forecast, like who I think has the best chance to have a white Christmas this year on Monday. And then on Tuesday, I'm going to have some of more of the extra in-depth thoughts on this storm coming Thursday into Friday, if my days are right. That one is we close in on Christmas Eve. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I hope everybody has a great Christmas, and we'll talk before then. And certainly a great Hanukkah, as tomorrow, of course, at sundown is the first night. And hey, we'll catch you next time. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit the thumbs up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Stay warm. It's about to get cold.